Welcome to Professor Pincushion. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the double-sided fusible webbing in order to create your own applique, which you can see a finished one here. It's great for using in projects such as garments, like t-shirts, quilting, purses, basically any project you can come up with that utilizes fabric. And it's also a lot of fun. So let's get started and I'll show you exactly how it's done. The most important aspect to creating your own applique is this, which is our double-sided fusible webbing. It's kind of like interfacing, except it has the glue on both sides, so we can iron it to fabric and then iron it onto another piece of fabric, and that's how you create the applique. In my particular case, I have paper on both sides of the webbing, so I can actually peel off one side of my paper, and this is my fusible webbing right here, which is stuck to the other paper. And some of them you'll have it where it's just stuck to the paper and it's open on this side. Whatever case you have, you're going to want to make sure that the side that has the paper that's definitely stuck to the fusible webbing is up towards you. So the fusible webbing that's kind of loose is going down towards your table. And we're going to be drawing our design for our applique. So you just need to cut it so it's a little bit bigger than what you want your design to be. Now the thing you have to be careful of is you're going to be placing this on the wrong side of the fabric. So if you're doing a design that is not completely symmetrical, you're going to need to do the mirror image of that. So for example, if I was going to do a P, I would have to flip the P over and do it backwards. So then I would draw my P going that way. If it's symmetrical, you don't have to really worry about this. For example, I'm going to be doing my business card logo here. So it doesn't really matter because it's the same on both sides and it's always going to look that way. So once I have my design, now you could draw it freehand if you want. Basic images usually work best, or if you're like me and you can't really draw, you can go ahead and trace something. And all you do, since I'm tracing on the paper, I can use a pencil or a pen, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw my design. Here's the fabric I'm going to be making my applique out of. So I just make sure that I cut out a piece that's a little bit bigger than the piece I cut out of my double-sided fusible webbing here. We're going to do it to the wrong side, so I'm going to flip it over. And now with my fusible webbing, if you have the paper on both sides, go ahead and peel off the paper on the one side that comes off really easily and lay it right in the middle of your fabric. You're going to grab your iron and you're going to make sure it's pretty hot, and you're going to lay it right over your design for about 5 to 6 seconds. So it's better if you're not using a really delicate fabric, since it does need to handle a great deal of heat, but working with cottons, it should work pretty well. So once that's ironed, all you're going to do is take out your scissors and you're going to cut out your design now on the line you created on the paper. After you cut out your design, you go ahead and take off the back paper and you just peel it off. It should come off pretty easily. If it sticks, then it probably means it needs more heat. So there's my applique. I'm going to go ahead and stick it on my fabric that I want it to appear. And the thing is, if you are actually creating a project, let's say you're making quilt squares, it is a lot easier to do your appliquing with your fabric before the pieces are sewn together. Once everything's sewn together, it's a little hard to do the appliquing process. So it's better to do it in the beginning stages. So I want it to appear right in here. I'm just going to stick it to that, and then I'm going to grab my iron, and then I'm going to reapply heat, and this is going to adhere it now to my black fabric. At this point you have a choice. You can either leave the applique as is, you don't have to finish the edges around it, or you can finish them. So just to my machine, you have some choices. You can do a zigzag stitch. You can do this one that kind of looks like a blanket stitch. You can also do a blanket stitch by hand. And this one right here kind of looks like a satin stitch. This is actually a zigzag stitch where I put the stitches really close together, so they don't look very much like this. They look more like a satin stitch. So whatever you decide to do, if you're going to do a finishing, go ahead and get your applique. And I'm going to do the blanket stitch. And all you're going to do is just stitch around the perimeter of your design and just get as close as you can to the edge. And that's it. I finished stitching around my applique, And I think it definitely lends to a more finished look if you go ahead and do some sort of stitching, but it's up to you. You don't have to. So this is the finished applique, and at this point, you're ready to use it in a project of your choice. Make sure to check out our other videos and visit ProfessorPincushion.com to view our complete library with well over 100 sewing video tutorials. New tutorials are released regularly, so make sure to subscribe to be notified of the next release. Thanks for watching!